Have you ever wondered what separates us from every other species on this planet? It's not just our brains, it's our hands and what we choose to create with them. For millions of years, our ancestors roamed the earth, but it was the invention of simple tools that truly set us on the path to becoming who we are today. Let's journey back in time to ancient Europe and uncover the incredible tools that didn't just build civilizations, but literally rewrote human history. Our story begins over 1,000,000 years ago, long before modern humans even arrived in Europe. This was the era of the Oldowan chopper, the very first recognizable stone tool. Imagine one of our early ancestors, like Homo erectus, picking up one river stone and striking it against another. That single, deliberate act created a sharp edge. It seems so simple, right? But that sharp edge was a revolution. Suddenly, they could slice through tough animal hides, butcher carcasses left behind by larger predators, and access nutrient-rich marrow from bones. This wasn't just a new way to get a meal, it was a critical survival advantage. The Oldowan chopper represents the dawn of technology, the first spark of ingenuity that proved we could alter our environment to meet our needs. It was the essential first step on a ladder that would eventually lead to skyscrapers and smartphones. Fast forward a few 100,000 years, and the toolkit gets a major upgrade. Meet the Aeolian hand axe. Unlike the simple chopper, this was a tool of design and foresight. Picture a beautiful, symmetrical, teardrop-shaped stone. Creating one required a multi-step process and a clear mental template of the final product. This wasn't just about making a sharp edge, it was about creating the perfect multi-tool. The pointed tip could be used for piercing and drilling. The long, sharp sides were perfect for slicing and scraping, and the heavy base fit comfortably in the palm, ideal for chopping wood or cracking nuts. For over 1,000,000 years, the hand axe was the Swiss Army knife of the Stone Age, used by hominins like Homo heidelbergensis across Africa, Asia, and Europe. Its consistency across vast distances and time periods tells us something profound. This was a technology that was learned, taught, and passed down through generations. It represents the birth of culture and shared knowledge. Now, let's meet the masters of the European Ice Age, the Neanderthals, and their signature technology, the Mousterian tool-making technique. This was a game changer. Instead of just shaping a big rock into a single tool, Neanderthals developed a method called the Levallois technique. They would meticulously prepare a core stone, like a flint nodule, shaping it carefully. Then, with one final, precise strike, they could knock off a perfectly formed flake that was sharp and ready to use, almost like a prefabricated blade. This was manufacturing Stone Age style. It was incredibly efficient, allowing them to produce a variety of specialized tools from a single core: points for spears, scrapers for hides, and knives for butchery. The Mousterian toolkit shows us that Neanderthals were not the brutish cavemen of popular myth. They were intelligent, adaptable, and highly skilled craftsmen who thrived in the harsh conditions of Ice Age Europe for hundreds of thousands of years. Then, around 45,000 years ago, a new group arrived in Europe, Homo sapiens, our direct ancestors, and they brought with them an explosion of innovation. This period, known as the Upper Paleolithic, saw the development of blade technology. Instead of small flakes, they perfected a method to strike off long, slender, incredibly sharp blades from a prepared core. Think of it like a Pez dispenser for stone tools. One core could produce dozens of these versatile blades. This efficiency freed up time and resources, leading to a cultural and artistic revolution. But the real leap forward was combining different materials. Our ancestors started hafting these stone blades onto wood or bone handles, creating the first composite tools. A stone point attached to a wooden shaft became a deadly spear. A small, sharp blade set into a bone handle became a precise carving knife. This ability to combine materials opened up a universe of possibilities, and it wasn't just about stone anymore. The Upper Paleolithic is where we see the masterful use of bone, antler, and ivory. One of the most ingenious inventions from this period was the spear thrower, also known as an atlatl. This was essentially a hooked stick that acted as a lever, extending the thrower's arm. By launching a spear with an atlatl, a hunter could throw it faster, farther, and with much more force than by hand alone. Suddenly, hunting large, dangerous game like mammoths and giant bison became safer and more effective. This wasn't just a new weapon, it was an application of physics that gave our ancestors a significant advantage, allowing their populations to grow and expand. Alongside the spear thrower came another tiny but mighty invention, the needle. Crafted meticulously from bone or ivory, these early needles had a drilled eye, just like the ones we use today. This seemingly humble tool had a massive impact on survival. For the first time, people could sew together animal hides to create tailored, multi-layered clothing. In the freezing climate of Ice Age Europe, having fitted tunics, trousers, and parkas instead of just draping hides over your body was the difference between life and death. The needle allowed humans to create their own microclimates, enabling them to survive and even thrive in the coldest parts of the continent. It's a perfect example of how a small piece of technology can have enormous consequences. As the great ice sheets finally retreated around 12,000 years ago, Europe's environment changed dramatically. Forests spread across the land, and the large herds of the Ice Age disappeared, replaced by smaller, more elusive forest animals. This new world required a new toolkit. This was the Mesolithic, or Middle Stone Age, and its hallmark was the microlith. These were tiny, geometrically shaped pieces of flint, some no bigger than a fingernail. But don't let their size fool you. Our ancestors would produce these microliths in large numbers and then set them into wooden or bone handles using resin or tar. They would line them up like the teeth of a saw to create sickles for harvesting wild grasses, or embed them as barbs on the tips of arrows. This was the advent of archery. The bow and arrow was a revolutionary hunting tool, perfect for taking down swift-moving animals like deer and boar from a distance with deadly accuracy. It was a technology of precision and stealth, perfectly suited for the new forested landscape. Finally, we arrive at the most transformative period of all, the Neolithic Revolution. This is where humanity went from hunting and gathering to farming and settlement. And the tools of this era reflect that monumental shift. The polished stone axe was a key innovation. Unlike the chipped hand axes of the past, these were made from tough stones like jadeite or basalt, which were painstakingly ground and polished for hundreds of hours to create an incredibly strong, durable cutting edge. With these axes, Neolithic people could clear vast forests for the first time, opening up land for crops and pastures. This was the tool that literally reshaped the landscape of Europe, paving the way for the first villages. Alongside the axe came the sickle and the grinding stone. Early sickles, often made with flint microliths set in a curved handle, allowed for the efficient harvesting of domesticated grains like wheat and barley. Once harvested, the grain was placed on a large stationary stone called a quern and ground into flour with a smaller handstone. This process unlocked the immense nutritional potential of cereals, providing a stable, storable food source that could support a growing population. These tools represent the foundation of our modern diet and the shift towards a settled agricultural life that would eventually lead to the rise of cities, states, and the complex world we know today. From the first simple chopper to the polished axe that cleared the forests, each of these tools tells a part of our story. They are not just artifacts of stone and bone. They are monuments to human ingenuity, resilience, and our unending drive to innovate. They show us how, step by step, we built our world with our own two hands. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through time. If you found this as fascinating as I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our incredible past. Let me know in the comments which ancient tool you think was the most revolutionary. Until next time, stay curious.